So Peter preached this message of the gospel. I call it the Acts 2 approach to evangelism. And I want to say this. I would suggest to you that most of what we do in our churches today, our evangelistic campaigns, even our Easter pageants, Christmas pageants, our Sunday school material, Bible study material, youth group material, whatever it is basically an Acts 2 approach to evangelism. And what was this Acts 2 approach? Who was Peter really preaching to? Well, he was preaching to mainly Jews or those convinced of or very familiar with the Jewish religion. Let me ask you a question. At that stage in their history, did they believe in God? When Peter said to that group of people, God, did he have to define God, or could he assume they were thinking of the God of creation, the God that he understood? He didn't have to define God, did he? If he said sin, you're sinners, did he have to define sin? They had the law of Moses. They knew what sin was. Sin was idolatry, taking the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Sin was stealing, murder, adultery. They knew what sin was. They didn't have a problem with the foundational knowledge. They didn't have a problem with that history in Genesis. They believed in Adam and Eve and the fall, by and large. They had the right starting point, which put them on the right road, but their stumbling block was the message of the cross. And I like to put it this way. Peter was preaching to people who already had a foundation to understand the gospel. It'd be like coming in to build a beautiful auditorium like this, and somebody already put the foundation there. I remember when they were building the Creation Museum, and it was just a piece of property, first of all, and then they seemed to spend months. I don't know what they were doing. They were digging holes and having fun. They were laying the foundation. I thought, this is going to take forever. And suddenly one day I went there, and the day before I didn't see anything above ground, and then that day I suddenly saw all the steel structure going up. Once the foundation's there, the structure can go up very quickly. Peter was coming into a group that had the foundation. So from a human perspective, he didn't have to deal with the foundational aspects. He had to deal with the structure that Jesus is the Messiah. See, Australia inherited the British system, and so we built our morality on the Bible, even though it wasn't a Christian nation. Not only that, but the teachers would read through the Bible during the year. So all the students would get to hear about Adam and Eve and sin, and hear about the Israelites, and hear about Jesus on the cross, the babe in a manger, and so on. Here's what I want to suggest to us. Back in the 50s, 60s, Australia was an Acts 2 type culture, so an Acts 2 approach to evangelism, from a human perspective, it works. People understood. But if you go to Australia today, it's like America, England, Europe. Creation's basically thrown out of the schools. They used to teach creation in the schools in Australia. The Bible, by and large, has been eliminated from schools. They don't have Bible readings like they used to. They don't have prayer and assembly like they used to. In fact, back in the 50s and 60s, if you said to students in Australia, God, most would think the God of the Bible. But if you say God today, it's which God? You mean a Muslim God, a Hindu God, a Shinto God, a Buddhist concept of God, a New Age God? What God are you talking about? It's a different culture.